there, and welcome to Planet Guardian 101. In this series, we're diving into the 5 core elements that will make life on this planet possible: earth, water, fire, air, and spirit. Each of these elements shape everything: the planet, our environment, ourselves. We're all made of the same stuff, the same patterns, the same energy, and the same life force. And so we look at how these elements appear and function on those two very different but intrinsically connected beings, humans and the planet Earth itself. From there, we look at how these elements are out of balance in the world today. What's really going on in the systems that keep life flowing? And most importantly, we will explore the solutions to these problems, which, by the way, already exist and are pretty cool if I'm being super honest. Stick with me and I'll give you some missions at the end so that you can put all of this knowledge into practice and get some real planet gardening experience out in the world. And because this journey is complex and multi-tiered, there's 3 levels of missions for you to choose from. You have the self missions, which is where you look inward and in the mirror. You find balance for yourself as a human being. Then we have 1 step up to the local hero missions, where you use that balance within to help others in your community or local ecosystem. And then the 3rd top tier, which is the Planet Guardian missions. This is where your actions impact the bigger systems of the world. But really, everything you do matters. Every small effort you put towards the future that you want to see, the person that you want to be, it shapes the life for everyone and everything on this planet. Yes, we truly are that powerful. All we need to do is remember it. And this is what this course is all about. I want to give you science, knowledge, and a different perspective from which to observe life, so that your particular unique mission on this planet becomes clear to you. Today, we are talking about the spirit element, the life force that is contained within everything that is alive. And if myth is to be believed, permeates planet Earth herself. I thought a lot about how to start this journey, and then I came to the conclusion that to properly deal with all of the information and the world that surrounds us, we must first deal with the world that is within us. I spent years of my life learning from masters of many areas, and a common thing that continuously pops up: the importance of awareness, of knowing thyself and the voice within. Honestly, the majority of my life I have lived in blissful unconsciousness. I was enjoying life, living without too much attention, until I came to a crossroads where the knowledge of the outside world became overwhelming and deeply depressing. I didn't have the inner strength to handle all of that learning and witnessing, and then I kind of crashed out into what is commonly called a dark night of the soul. Unfortunately, I know that the majority of us take this path toward paying more attention to ourselves. And I think simply because we have so many distractions and responsibilities of life that we just keep truckling along life without much awareness. Although I think there's a sort of beauty in the hitting rock bottom and then climbing out of it yourself. If I can provide tools and knowledge for people to maybe avoid the crash out, I want to do that. And so this is where we will begin, remembering who we are so we can chart a path to who we are meant to be, discovering our unique planet guardian self. So this episode will require you to suspend your disbelief and open yourself to the possibility that maybe life on this planet is much more magical, intelligent, sentient, and divine than you can imagine right now. Most of what I talk about today will be based in science, but there are limits to science that only intuition and human consciousness can bridge. So there will be some woo-woo. If you feel like dismissing something outright, consider taking a deeper look at it. Keep an open mind to the infinite unknowns that exist in this world. Sure, it might sound crazy, but what if it isn't? So let's talk about spirit on planet Earth, spirit in Gaia. When you study the spiritual leaders of the past, ancient civilizations, indigenous peoples, philosophers, historians, you notice that a lot of them eventually stumble upon the concept of oneness. There is an essence of life that flows through every living being on this planet. No matter how small or still, we are all one. And this oneness is contained within the atmospheric magnetic constraints of this planet Earth. The same way our cells make up our whole body, couldn't every living being on the planet be a cell of the Earth's body? If ancient knowledges converge on the potential of the planet being a living, breathing being, it wouldn't be smart to dismiss this potential. But humans do dismiss the unseen. As humans, we put a lot of emphasis on what we can see. And this makes sense because primates have our hippocampus attached to our visual cortex. Before us, early mammals navigated the world mainly through smell, not vision. They operate more through unseen instinct, unlike humans who put a lot of emphasis in what we see and our perception of the material world through how we see it. As you can imagine, this makes our thoughts and actions very susceptible and influenced by what we see, or what we think we see, leaving us to overlook a very important and real aspect of life on this planet, the unseen. Humans, with all our intelligence and technological advancements, have forgotten the spiritual, unseen connections that forge the essence of life. And with that comes a disregard for nature, a mocking of the spiritual, a dismissal of the things that we cannot touch with our hands or see with our eyes. We shut ourselves off from the element of spirit. We tend to look at nature as something to consume or something that's just there. Sure, we can see its beauty, but the majority of us rarely have time to be truly present in nature, connecting with its slow and steady rhythm, accomplishing everything with no rush at all. Think about the beginning of life, how a single cell absorbed an organelle that could transmute sunlight into energy. All life sprung from that moment. After billions of years of slow coevolution among trillions of species, the web of life on this planet grew into an infinitely complex and interconnected system that can not only withstand crisis, but grows stronger and more resilient with every challenging event. Each individual shaped by evolution to perfectly fit their ecosystem, contributing to the health of the whole. The sheer amount of individual diversity, plants, insects, birds, mammals, fungi, bacteria, transforms the web of life into an indestructible safety net through which the spirit of this life flows, bettering its intelligent design with every regeneration. The spirit of planet Earth is this force that runs through the interconnection of all beings within the web of life, which of course includes us, humans. No matter what religion you believe or don't believe in, everyone is aware that there is a life force contained within us. Whether it's the voice in your head or what you see in your dreams or when we pray or meditate, the realm of the unseen is sometimes almost tangible. Our human ancestors were more mandatorily connected to nature and less distracted by a virtual reality. So they had more understanding and connection to this realm. So we saw rituals and ceremonies that were connected to the flow of the seasons, like the sun, moon, stars, and our own biology and instincts. Modern humanity, again, with all our technology and advancements, we have transformed spirituality into a bit of a commodity in some aspects, missing the entire point. We have an almost unimaginable number of external inputs competing for our attention and our awareness at all times. The material world dings and jingles constantly, reminding you to always be on the move. But the abandonment of all material things in exchange for awareness of the present moment, the essence of awareness and consciousness that exists within yourself, that is where the spirit element resides in humans. And this is why knowing thyself is so important. The thoughts that run on the background of your minds shape our daily lives, especially if we're rushing on autopilot or living in survival mode. When you make time to sit in meditation or journal in order to illuminate these thoughts, you get a lot of insights into why you behave and think the way that you do. Your unconscious inner dialogue shapes how you show up in the world, and that inner voice starts being developed very early. We, as children, when we're figuring out the world around us, we are shaped by the events that happen in our childhood. And much of our adult behavior and reactions can actually be traced back to habits and experiences from our early developmental stage. When René Descartes conceptualized the separation of mind and body, he exiled the mind to a separate, non-physical realm and rooted our body in the material. He created this idea that the two can be distinct, when in reality, there is a ever-present interconnection between spirit and material. Our mind is more attached to the intangible, sure, our thoughts, our personality, our dreams, our soul, our spirit. And our body, yes, it is the mortal vessel that carries all of that into the material realm. So they are separate in a way, but the part that we forget is the interconnection between the two. Our minds and bodies are always speaking to each other in a subconscious way, with a language that is encoded in our genetic make for millions of years of evolution. We walk around the planet and our bodies interact with the environment, like every living being before us. Earth, water, air, and fire shaping our daily experiences, creating neuronal connections, storing knowledge in our brains, building skills in our muscles, and producing chemicals that run through our veins and make us feel things. Our mindset and how we view the world shapes how all of this external input gets processed. Do we create neural connections of growth or stagnation? When we do something, are our motivations extrinsic, like money, status, and fame, or intrinsic, we want to feel healthier or live longer for the people that we love? Your mind influences your body, and your body influences your mind. Without awareness of the inner self, of spirit, you are a hostage to your body's reactions to the material world, which are our emotions. Emotions are this reaction of your body to the material world. You see a lion, you feel fear, an emotion that tells your body you have to fight or flee. Now there's definitely less lions around, but our emotions still subconsciously inform us of threats, opportunities, deep desires. Be able to step back and observe your emotional reaction to things and learn from them allows you to have conscious control of your reactions. This is a wild upper edge in life. So your emotions are energy in motion. If they are allowed to run the show unconsciously, they will shape your mindset, affecting your whole view of the world. What your dominant mindset or emotion is, that is the dominant force behind your everyday life. Over time, your worldview shapes your actions and your habits, creating your personality or your personal reality, your health, your body shape, your mastery of skills, the path in your life. The entirety of your life, within and without, starts at your level of unconsciousness regarding your emotional state. This sounds woo-woo, but is rooted in biology, neuroscience, quantum mechanics. Living beings emanate a variety of unseen forces: electric, magnetic, pheromonal, quantum. So does the planet. These invisible forces interact with each other on the invisible realm, some of which can be measured, some of which we have no idea how to even begin thinking about, let alone measuring it. It's up to you how much of your life's experience you want to process through scientific certainty, and how much you'd allow your suspension of disbelief to open new doors to your body's intuitive and evolutionary intelligence. All you gotta do is give yourself space to trust in what your consciousness is experiencing. Which brings me to the ocean of unconsciousness that all of humanity experiences together, but which is much stronger when it's a tight-knit culture or society: the collective unconscious. One of my favorite concepts in psychology is Carl Jung's idea of the collective unconscious, the invisible agglomeration of humanity's emotional and collective history that we carry with us subconsciously. For better or for worse, we are shaped by the thoughts and beliefs of all of those who came before us. And I just want to say, Indigenous people have always known about this and acted and lived life as though this was real. The same way, our genetic material stores the evolution of our physical bodies all the way to our most primitive ancestors. So does the collective unconscious store our collective spiritual and mental history. And that's why we have to be aware of all the ways in which our subconscious is influenced, so that we can know what comes from us and what comes from something that you heard once or twice from the story that is being told by someone outside yourself. One of the highly influential aspects of the collective unconscious is the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. It shapes our culture through generations and creates a type of generalized vibe of a specific time and place. Culturally, politically, intellectually, ethically, it captures the shared values and beliefs of a specific time. For example, the medieval times from the 5th to the 15th centuries was characterized by feudalism and religion, separated by class, nobility, clergy, peasantry. Peasants toiled in the fields to pay homage to their lords who supported the clergy. Then the colonial era began between the 15th and the 20th centuries, marked by European beliefs in cultural superiority and humans' divine ownership of nature. So they imposed themselves pervasively and colonized territories worldwide. I can totally see that reverberated in the history of Brazil and Canada, two colonized countries that raised me. In modern times, we are less influenced by the zeitgeist. Peasants from feudal times didn't have the internet or the capacity to take a plane and go overseas to experience a life beyond toiling the soil. Our modern capacity to reach beyond our ways of thinking has kind of set us free individually, but as a collective, we have a lot of work to do to break free from mind prisons. It's not really a stretch to look back and find too many similarities between us and feudalism. It's also not difficult to look at our collective past and draw a wobbly but pretty straight line to environmental and social consequences that we see unfolding in the present. Which brings me to the issues of the spirit element. Number one is the veil of illusion, the lens through which we see the world. It's no secret that the world is extremely divided, and in a way, we always were. But in the past, geography separated us, and that was that. Now, with the advent of the internet, globalization, modern transportation, the world is our oyster, and it definitely has ADHD. Our ancestors could barely imagine crossing the ocean, let alone going on a full Europe trip, a cruise to Alaska, shopping trip in Dubai, visiting Mars through virtual reality, all in the same year. Making friends from all over the world and being able to contact them instantly, all at once, through a small square in your pocket. We have come a long way from only imagining what is beyond our city limits to being able to intimately know and interact with the entire world instantly at the touch of a screen. But with great power comes great responsibility. Our technology may have advanced at neck-breaking speeds, but our biology has not. We were not meant to have access to the entire vault of human historical knowledge all at once. This quickness and constant acceleration of the virtual world, it pressures us to go fast in life. Time is money. We hear it all the time, the eternal pursuit of efficiency. But fast and efficient are two very different things. A lot of the time, our efficiency just means higher profit accumulation, not really better quality or improved systems. That might be how things are maximized for the next quarter, but if you're anywhere close to thinking about the future, that's not how it works. Our brains are designed to save energy by creating habits, keep us safe by detecting threats. In the past, threats were immediate. Lion is chasing you. Today, they are different and in some ways worse. They target mostly our minds. They don't feel or look like real threats, and they're all around us, consistently exerting pressure on our survival mode. People are just constantly stressed. Every day, we consume content designed to trigger emotional or behavioral responses to keep us hooked. Over time, our brains solidify this response of being always on alert as our default state because that's what it has become. Dangerous, unconscious place to be in. Our brain and our body must feel safe in order to access deep work, imagination, flow. Anything that activates your limbic system of survival suppresses the higher order creative and critical thinking pathways of the prefrontal cortex. Of course, survival supersedes creating. Constant notification and overstimulation keeps the threat system activated. You can imagine what kind of a barrier that creates to our connection with the spirit element. Have a bunch of humans under this state for a long period of time, and you eventually get a pretty unhealthy people of body and mind. So I lived in Tokyo for a bit, and although it is the biggest city in the world with infinite things happening quickly all the time, there was this spirit of mindfulness that permeated the culture for me. There were these pockets of slowness in the infrastructure of the city, or like pristinely organized public transit that moves hordes of people with such grace. There was this deliberate mindfulness in the delivery of any skill that it gave everything this mastery quality. Kung Fu says, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And in Japan, I saw that that could be true at a society scale. It was a stark contrast between the chaotic Western style of running fast and blind towards a goal, any goal, as long as you get there first. And this is my personal experience, okay? But when I moved from Brazil to Canada, I was told it was the best place in the world to live. And although I do love it here and I'm so grateful to be here, no place has ever made me feel more exhausted and drained than North America. The mindset of the individualistic eternal grind that makes burnout a trophy and rest is like a sin, a mark for being left behind. It's a bit absurd. And it makes for a bleak picture, right? a way of being that feeds us a purposely limited vision that forces us to constantly be burning out of mind and body in a state where neurobiologically it's opposed to creation and problem solving. It's not a pretty picture, but fortunately, there are many solutions to this state, and they sound almost silly in their simplicity, but they are super effective and overpowered in the grand scheme of things. It's like the wind that leaves an arrow to hit a target dead center. My dad used to say, before you go into any battle, sharpen your axe. And he meant it in a use your flashcards before exams kind of way. But this next section is for sharpening your spiritual axe. First solution is rest and reconnect. It couldn't be more simple or more difficult, but to reconnect with spirit, all you need to do is sit in stillness. That's the beginning of it all. To counter the rat race that tells you your only worth is your production, sit in stillness with your breath. In nature, rest is the norm, one of the only constants for living beings on this planet, temporary turning off of your sentience in order to repair and re-energize the body. Unlike in nature, rest is not the norm of the human world, the grind is. This makes it so we have to take an extra step to consciously come out of the rat race. Actively make time for rest. This becomes the more important, the more burned out you are, of course, because if you don't make time for your body, it will crash out and force it upon you. And that is a much less enjoyable experience of resting. Once you sink into rest and start listening to your body, you will start to notice things. Through stillness, we start to recognize the impulses of our habits, how quickly we want to reach for our phone because being still and silent feels odd and unnatural. But nothing could be further from the truth. Depending on your level of burnout, the pull to the status quo and old habits will be very strong. Your will and awareness must be stronger to break away from the pattern and rewrite a new neuronal connection that says you can and should take time for yourself. The journey is long for everyone, but I find it's especially satisfying to those who manage to break away from the depths of the burnout zone. I will always be an immense advocate of meditation. When we are children, we form attachment to our parents, of course, to our caretakers, to the people who are constantly around us. Because our survival depends on these people, what they say to us has deep significance. If we hear good things, we build confidence. If we hear bad things, we internalize it. If we get shamed, we recognize that there is something about our personality that we must not do. And so we stuff it down. We hide it deep because subconsciously we know that being that way takes love away from us. Of course, there's multiple levels to this, from getting scolded to straight up abuse. This matters. But the reality is that children internalize everything as a way to learn how to behave in the world. So even if it's something small like you're not a good reader or stop being so loud, it gets internalized. The collection of these subconscious childhood internalizations builds our shadows, which is another one of the concepts from Carl Jung. All of us have a shadow. It's part of the journey of growing up, then growing conscious of what has shaped us. Only understanding these parts of ourselves with compassion allows us to be free of their unconscious control. And meditation is one of the ways where our mind shows us the thoughts and emotions that are running in the background. If we don't make the unconscious conscious, it will run our life and we will call it fate. One of the greatest revelations of my life was Marcus Aurelius's "The obstacle is the way." It applies to many areas of life. First is the fact that if you persevere long enough at something, you are sure to achieve that thing. In the odd times that we don't get what we want, the journey teaches us valuable lessons that are themselves a win, if you have the right mindset. The impediment in the way becomes the way. The blocks to our goals are usually the lessons that we need to learn and the limitations that we need to overcome in order to achieve the goal. Secondly, our human brain is an organ designed to keep us alive and save energy. We've established that. It makes habits of our usual actions and thoughts, cementing neural pathways that we often use in order to streamline energy expenditure. When we have specific routines, our brain enjoys the predictability and energy efficiency of it. And new experiences can be perceived as a threat to this order. This is stagnation and needs balancing. Every time we step away from our habits and choose new experiences, we fire up new pathways in our brain. Do this often, and your brain will be flexible and adaptable, receptive to new experiences. Stick to only what you know, and soon you will have anxiety over trying new things. Fear of failure can easily creep in and stop you from ever attempting the thing. If we are able to develop an explorer or guardian mindset, new experiences are adventures, and failures are opportunity to learn and get better at the thing. With that, you can harness the power of our brain to be excellent at anything. The obstacle is the way. Stagnation breeds dysfunction and limits our infinite potential of what we can achieve in our short human life, yes. But that does not mean that having good habits and stable routine aren't extremely beneficial to a healthy human life. A streamlined routine with good habits does more than give your biological body an expected standard to run on autopilot. It allows us to more freely dedicate our mental power towards creative work. We've all experienced the bliss of being in flow. Children embodying the role of a couch pirate. Just 10 more minutes of a book that you can't put down, and suddenly it's 4 a.m. Losing yourself in a painting that you dreamed about. Speaking on a topic that you're passionate about. Or practicing until your fingers have painful calluses from that bit in the guitar that you just had to get right. That is our most powerful human skill. Focused intention. It's a skill that we're all born with, which can be honed to take us to great heights or lost through disuse. Losing it is easy nowadays. The amount of distractions that exist in the modern world could not be imagined by our pre-internet ancestors. Not to mention our global economic model, which thrives on short-term boosts, making products that are constantly demanding our attention. Stay for the next post, the next show, the next deal, the next scandal. We intake much more than we are putting out, and this is stunting our capacity to focus, and by extension, our power to create in the state of flow. Luckily, our brains are also immensely neuroplastic. Studies have shown that even at older ages, the human brain still retains remarkable capacity to learn new information and form new pathways and habits. The more stagnated and concrete our brain's neuronal connections are, the harder it will be to break the pattern, but it's not impossible. All it takes is willpower, discipline, and the knowledge that the obstacle eventually becomes the way. Some great focus practices include reading a book, one of the few ad-free experiences left. Meditation and presence are the most powerful ones by far. And they're also a paradox because they're the hardest, the simplest, and the most magically enlightening. If you know, you know. You can also start your meditation journey by going through movement meditations such as yoga, tai chi, qigong. They work too. They pair mindful movement with conscious breath and create this very embodied presence. Try it out. Practicing single tasking versus multitasking. Put down your phone where you're watching TV. I know we all do that. Or turn off the TV to spend time on your phone, but ideally don't spend all of your dopamine on screens. Immerse yourself in nature and intently observe its slow yet perfect flow. How the wind feels on your skin or how it plays with the lights on the leaves. Notice the sounds around you. How many birds are there? Are there people speaking nearby? Find a bug and follow it for a while. Think about what it would be like to be a small creature trekking through a gigantic world and then realize that that's kind of your journey as a human on the earth. Listen to classical music that is predictably structured, 50 to 80 beats per minute like Baroque music. It aligns your brain to the alpha wave and it's been shown to engage the mind and it keeps you in a relaxed and alert state at the same time. It's a cheat code for concentration and learning. So next time you have a work block, try some Bach or Vivaldi. And last but not least, stream of consciousness journaling. 10 minutes where you just sit and let your mind run free on the paper. You'd be surprised by what comes out. Apart from the focus practice of it, this has the added benefit of illuminating your subconscious thoughts, organizing the internal chaos of your mind. Highly recommend. Most of these focus practices will feel boring. Your brain will struggle against it until you start to develop the state of flow. From there, focus will feel pleasurable, and over time, you will develop a desire and a pull to be deeply engaged in creative work. Everything is a process that you have to trust. Reaching the goal is good, but the journey itself, spiritual bliss. I highly recommend doing whatever you have to reach this stage. To help in this recommendation, here are your missions. Because the spirit element is very personal, it has a lot to do with your within. So most of the missions from this element are tier 1, the self. So to figure out who you are yourself and your spiritual influences, who you are influenced from within and who you are influenced from the without. Some journaling prompts. What was my childhood like, and how did that shape how I show up in the world? What difficulties did my parents have? What strengths did my parents have? How can I learn and grow from both those things? To figure out your place in the collective unconsciousness or how it affects you. What is the history of the place I was born or live in? How has it shaped the culture of now? How does it restrict you? How does it benefit you, and why? Did you travel a lot in your life? What did you notice about the different cultures and the different ways of living and being that people have in different countries you've been to? Did you notice something about the collective unconscious that you just hadn't clocked before? Write that down. Do you get enough rest? Be honest with yourself. What stops you from getting enough rest? Are they things that are not in control, like kids or job, or are they things that are in your control? How you spend your free time? Can you make room for conscious rest in your life? Then consider your higher self, your ideal self. What does it look like outside the expectations and the limiting beliefs that you have for yourself? Who are you? Who do you want to be? Who do you see yourself as in the height of your potential? What do I need to heal or stop in order to get there? What do I need to start in order to get there? Some other missions. Meditate. Try to find 5 minutes in the day after you wake up or before you go to bed to sit with your thoughts. Usually you want to reach the 30-minute mark when you can engage in a state of flow within your meditation. But just showing up, just sitting for 5 minutes every day and creating the habit where this is something that you do has many positive impacts in your life. Pick one or some of the focus practices. Choose one, whichever one you like the best. Every day, do something that feels hard. When you feel like giving up on something, tell yourself the obstacle is the way and try to do it a little bit longer. See how easier not giving up becomes in time. And last but not least, intentionally make time for resting and enjoying the slowness of life. Watch how that counterintuitively broadens your mind. To become a local hero, all that you have to do is embody all that you have learned about yourself. Be authentic in every day and interaction that you have. Sometimes an aware person can shift the vibe of an entire room. I'm sure everyone has experienced this. Be the embodiment of human spirit and watch energies transform around you. And for the Planet Guardian missions on this one, don't worry about it. Let the universe decide how your individual actions will reverberate in the collective unconscious. All you have to do is focus on yourself. Do the work to rebalance your spirit element, and the rest will just align itself. Electrically, magnetically, in the quantum field, it has no choice. And that's it for Spirit, everyone. Thank you for sticking to the end, and I hope that you really put some work into knowing thyself. We resist this sort of thing. The obstacle is the way. But it's really transformational to just sit even 5 minutes every morning and assess what's going on in the edge of your subconscious. So I hope that this journey of discovery is as fantastic for you as it was for me. And I'll see you on the next video.